Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationships, and it's by user Tresrio. Me, 26 female, with my husband, 28 male, and his ex, 30 female. She just got hired at my office and it's causing problems. My husband and I have been married for 2 years, together for 8 years. 7 years ago, he cheated on me with a repulsive woman who knew about me but still pursued him relentlessly because the challenge was fun. I found out by chance when he accidentally sent me a text that was meant for her. I caught contact and tried to move on, but he was persistent and eventually we got back together. There was a drastic change in our relationship after that. He seemed to lose all interest in other women in general. He said that the time without me had been an eye-opener and that he never wanted to feel like that again and wanted to better himself in every way possible. It took a long time for me to even remotely trust him again, but it happened with time. I thought I was over what happened. My mom, everybody's best therapist, right? Kind of pounded it into me that I had two options: break up and move on, or get back together and work past it. What she was saying was that if I made the decision to be with him, we had to work past it. I couldn't be with him and use this as some sort of tool or weapon to whip out whenever I wanted to over the years. And she was right, that wouldn't have worked. So we worked it out, together. He never tried to excuse his actions, which I appreciate, and we both made changes, and then we kind of grew up. We started from square one and built up from there. We bought a couple of houses, we got married, and life was good. I didn't think about it much at all, and when I did, it was kind of in a look how far we've come sort of way. Like I said, I thought I was over it this whole time. Apparently, I'm not. When I walked into my office last week, the first thing I see in the waiting room is the other girl's nasty face. She had been hired by my company and it was her first day. She has a very unique pig-like face that is impossible to forget. I didn't acknowledge her and went to my office, but I couldn't concentrate. I don't want to be anywhere near this awful person. We work in the same department but on different teams, so we will have pretty close contact on a day-to-day basis, although not constant either. She's been in training so far, so we haven't really talked at all. I've gotten multiple accidental friend requests from her on Facebook when she's creeping on my page, so I know that she recognizes me. When my manager walked her around the office introducing her to people, I just kind of did the smile and nod in her direction. She smiled and winked. Nice. I'm not sure what to do. I feel sick just being near her. I see her face and I can't stop picturing it against my husband's. I've been mad at my husband on and off ever since she started at my office. I'm reliving the whole thing and I'm pissed that he did this to us and that I am in this situation now because of him. He hugs and kisses me and I pull away, and I feel crazy that the reason for this is something that happened 7 years ago. I did talk to him about it, but I'm not sure what I expect from him. He's extremely sympathetic and apologizes profusely that I have to be near her. He keeps pointing out how much we have grown and how amazing our life has been, and reminds me that he's a different person now. I walked into our room a couple of nights ago and he was sitting on the bed crying because of what he'd done to us. I don't know what to do. I'm on a roller coaster in Crazy Town right now. I go from feeling sick, to angry, to sad, to guilty for making him feel sad, to angry again, to crazy for being mad over something that I thought was so far behind me. He has encouraged me to do what feels best, whether that be to continue working there or to quit. He's been supportive of either decision and pointed out that he could support us easily if I quit working altogether. But I don't want to leave my job. I worked extremely hard to build my way up to my position. I earned it. I make good money and have amazing benefits, but I feel sick just thinking about being near her every day. Am I crazy here? What would you guys do if you were in my shoes? Am I seriously losing it to be upset about something that's 7 years in the past? Input, please. Sad face. Well, OP, first of all, no, I don't think you're crazy. I think you're having a normal reaction. You might have been able to forgive your husband and work past it, but that doesn't mean you had to forgive her or that you even have done that. And on that note, congratulations for taking that step. Not many people can actually get past that, but you guys worked through it and, you followed your mom's advice, which was pretty sound and logical, and you got to where you are now. Now, if I were in your shoes, the first thing I wouldn't do is run away, because that just gives her more power. Then I would probably try to go to counseling to really work this thing out. Because even though you forgave your husband and you have moved past it, you're not over it. Now, my initial thought was maybe you should go to your manager and tell him that you have a history with this person, but I don't think that would work out for you because it happened a long time before you guys worked together and it should be a professional environment. Regardless, OP, I believe that you need to make a really difficult decision, but it has to be made. And for this decision, I do think you need some help. And what do you guys think about this complicated situation? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Deleted says, she was the past, plain and simple. Don't give her any power to spoil your life. She is not that important. A few years ago, my ex-wife got a job in my company. Not as close in proximity to me as she was to you. It was horrible at first. We ended things with the worst horrible term possible, and we have kids together. I didn't sleep a wink the night I found out she was part of the company. Then I went to work, looked straight past her and started my day. A friend asked me why I seemed so calm and I told him, the wife I knew was dead the day we divorced. That over there is nothing but a stranger. And that's how I moved on. You and your husband have decided to start from ground zero 7 years ago. There is no need to dig up the past. Consider that person dead and the woman you saw was nothing but a stranger. Good luck to you both. Rainbow Sprinkles says, first, F. I'm so sorry you went through this. Sounds like a nightmare to live through. It speaks to your character that you were able to successfully move on from it and actually live a happy life with your husband until this situation came up. I know what it's like to truly hate the other woman like this. In my case, she was a floozy escort. To be repulsed by someone's face. Yes, of course your husband is to blame too, but at least he genuinely apologized. At least he grew and matured and is working to earn back your trust. It's much easier to forgive him than to forgive a woman who admits no fault, who winks at you and sends you friend requests just to remind you she exists. But your hatred is not hurting her, it's only hurting you and your relationship, and it's about to end your career. You said it yourself, you thought you were over it, you're clearly not. If you really want to be over it, quitting your job and running away isn't going to get you there. You have to forgive her. Obviously not because she deserves it, she doesn't, but because you do. Do not waste your time and energy and hurt your relationship you worked so hard to save for this vile person. For me, forgiveness is really hard, so I went to therapy for it, and it was the best long-term solution. If you're not really over it, who knows how many more times in the future you'll be confronted with similar issues. Brendan0077 says, OP, the most important advice you can take from this thread is to not let her win. She enjoys the fact that you hate her, and she relishes the fact that she is now impacting your life again. So what can you do? Kill her with kindness. Show her that the impact she has had in your life is worth no more thought than the fly you swatted off the windowsill 7 years ago. Hopefully, if she's an idiot, she'll try something to get a rise out of you, and when she does, I hope you have the foresight to record that crap. If you don't react, she will only try harder. It sounds as if she's that type of woman. Best of luck. Additional information from OP's comments. Honestly, maybe looking for a job elsewhere does beat staying anywhere near her. Leaving just really bums me out. I love my office and I'm really lucky to have an amazing boss and flexible hours, and I feel like I worked so hard to get here just to throw it all away. Sad face. Also, I'm not really sure what I would go to HR about though. That she slighted me personally? That doesn't necessarily speak to her work ethic at all, so I don't really want to get any higher ups involved. In my mind, she's an extremely disgusting waste of a person, but maybe she's a great employee. I doubt she's good at anything except for being literally more disgusting than dog crap on the bottom of a shoe, but maybe I'm just a little biased. Now, I definitely put the blame on both of them. I just don't consider actively pursuing someone whose significant other you have met and know all about to be innocent or blameless. And yes, after I found out about what was going on, he gave me his phone to see the extent of it. She was very pushy and extremely manipulative. For example, claiming to need him right now because her boyfriend had hit her and she was stranded at the dude's house and needed someone to take her home and be with her. This was in fact false, but my husband had previously turned her down when she asked to see him, so she came up with this. Like I said, he's at fault as well, but she isn't innocent. Okay, well, the community gave OP some pretty solid advice, so let's move on with the update to see how this story ends. First, I want to thank everyone for your advice and replies. I read everything and I tried to respond to as many as I could. One thing that I wanted to clear up is that my husband never slept with what's-her-face. I realize how that was implied when I said he cheated, but that didn't happen. They hooked up, sans actual intercourse. And yes, I know that beyond any possible doubt, so no reason to speculate there. Anyway, on to the update. She got fired. Turns out Miss Crazy Pants used me as a reference to get the damn job. I had decided to not say anything about her to my boss because I figured, hey, what the F ever. Like a Redditor so skillfully pointed out, she's the past. She's nothing, she doesn't matter. So I had decided to leave it alone and let her fail on her own. That didn't take long. My boss was in my office talking about Crazy Pants' performance when she said, I'll be completely honest, OP, she's not exactly how you described her. I had no clue what my boss was talking about, so I asked her to elaborate and she said, well, when I asked you about her before we hired her, you described a much different performance level than what I've seen so far. Does she usually take a while to adjust and get into the flow of things? By this time, I was completely lost. I know for a fact I have never mentioned Crazy Pants to my boss, and I've definitely never talked about her work ethic or performance to anyone at all, unless it's been talking about her grade A performance at being a floozy. Actually no, I wouldn't insult a floozy with such a disgusting comparison. Anyway, my boss looked at me blank stare and said, are you forgetting this whole conversation? A few weeks before we hired her, I asked for your reference. You said she was a team player and was a great asset. Well, F me, I did refer someone when the position opened up, and when my boss asked for my reference, it was super off the books, very laid back and informal. I think her exact words back then were, so tell me about the woman you referred. I got her resume and she looks great on paper, but how is she as a person? And I answered, in reference to the actual woman that I referred. Turns out Crazy Pants really is that crazy. She must have gotten my employment info off of my Facebook and decided to apply to F with me or something. It never crossed my mind before my last post that she had even applied for my office just because I worked there. I just figured it was a coincidence. New levels of crazy, I guess. I've since changed my privacy settings on Facebook. My boss was very pissed. She went and got Crazy's resume and brought it to me to verify that it was me in the reference section. Then I told her the name of the person that I actually referred, and she got that person's resume out too, so I could verify which was the right person. Turns out, the person I was referring for the job didn't put my name on her resume, just references available upon request, I believe. When my boss asked about the woman I recommended, I thought she was talking about the actual woman that I recommended. Then I told my boss that I actually had personal issues with Crazy in the past, and that I'm guessing that is why she knew where I worked, but neither of us could figure out why she would put me as an actual reference. I have no clue what her endgame was. She probably wanted me to get the reference request from my boss with her name actually said just to mess with me or let me know that she's watching. Anyways, once we looked at both resumes and cleared up who was who, my boss called Crazy into her office and asked her to leave immediately. She told her basically that it wasn't a good fit and that she would have given her longer to work out if it hadn't been for the blatant lying on her resume. She seemed to leave without much of a fuss. Neither my office nor me or my husband have gotten any contact from her at all, so she's either biding her time like an effing lunatic or she's just moved on. Who knows? I don't know if she actually expected to be hired. Doesn't matter now because she got super fired and probably needs a psych eval. I don't know, I don't care, she isn't worth worrying about. Also, the person I actually did recommend has an interview next week, smiley face. My husband is glad she's gone, but he wasn't really shocked to hear that she actually put me as a reference on her resume. He knew she was nuts and he actually wants to get a restraining order, but I'm going to hold off on that. So Crazy Pants is blocked from all of my social media accounts, and our building security already has a record of fired employees to keep an eye out for. If I hear from her or see her again, then I'll look into legal protection from her crazy ass. But for now, I'm letting the whole thing go. Bye, Felicia. Oh wow, OP, that was a roller coaster of events happening all at the same time. Wow, it's just crazy, the whole thing. But in summary, I'm just really happy she got her ass canned. Hopefully Crazy Pants can now stay in the past. Take care, OP, and thank you so much for sharing. Now, let's move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user Tubist61. Ended here? Not a problem. A few years back, I was on an interview panel recruiting an IT specialist in our company. The interview process was pretty standard, a series of HR-type questions, a technical test, and the presentation of a scenario. If you've worked in IT, you will be familiar with this. As we worked through the list, we saw some good candidates and some who really were out of their depth. Then it came the candidate. You can usually tell by their overconfident attitude and their body language as they sit down. As you would expect, he came in and fixed each of us with an intent look. In turn, sat down, leaned back in the chair in what I've seen as a power position, and the interview started. The HR questions went okay. We went through his CV, discussed previous roles, and I probed a little deeper on some of his answers as they started to have the odd hole. We got to the end of that, and I said we were going to move on to the technical section of the process. At that point he said, I can save you some time on that. Here are all my certifications. I don't do contrived tests when I have better skills than anyone here. And he placed a stack of certificates on the table. I'd never seen such arrogance in an interview and was taken aback for a moment. The person from HR stepped straight in and said, thanks for those details, we will take note of that, but everyone who comes for a role here is treated equally. Part of our process is a technical test, and this has been explained to you by the recruitment agency. The chap responded saying, yes, but I explained to the agency, these tests are pointless and I will not be doing it. If you insist on this, then you can terminate the interview. Fine, I was more than happy to comply with his request. I said, thank you very much for coming in. I will get the security officer to escort you out. We stood up and left him waiting in the meeting room for security. His power pose had gone and he looked totally shocked. The compliance with his request was probably not that malicious in our part. I just followed our company policy in equality in interviews. But I got a real sense of satisfaction seeing his bluster and arrogance evaporate. He was less than complimentary about us to the recruitment agency, but we were completely open and honest about the events with them. I gather they chose to stop putting him forward for interviews very soon after that. Oh wow, talk about shooting yourself on the foot. Well done, OP, totally deserved it for his arrogance. Thanks so much for sharing. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.